I am the lesson my son forgot on the night he should have been celebrating his greatest achievement. But that's getting ahead of myself. My name is William Harrison. I'm 62 years old, a retired firefighter from Chicago's South Side, and for the past 8 years since my wife Margaret died, I've had exactly one purpose in life: making sure our son David became the doctor she always knew he could be. Margaret. Even now, saying her name feels like pressing on a bruise that never quite heals. Ovarian cancer took her in 47 days. One minute we're planning David's college graduation. The next, I'm holding her hand in hospice, while she makes me promise, really promise, that I'll do whatever it takes to get David through medical school. He's going to save lives, Will, she whispered, her grip surprisingly strong for someone so diminished by disease. Don't let money stop him. Don't let anything stop him. I kept that promise. God knows I kept it. David got into Northwestern's medical program. Full ride? Not even close. The acceptance letter came with a price tag that made my stomach drop. $80,000 a year. I had my firefighter's pension, the house was paid off, and Margaret's life insurance gave me just enough to breathe. But medical school? 4 years at that price? That was a different universe. So I got creative. I sold Margaret's car. I took out a small business loan against the house. I drove for Uber on weekends. And here's the part David never knew. I contacted Northwestern's financial aid office with a proposal. I would donate money to create a small scholarship fund, the Margaret Harrison Memorial Scholarship for first-generation medical students. Anonymous, of course. The university would select recipients based on merit. And if one of those recipients happened to be David Harrison, well, what a wonderful coincidence that would be. It took 6 months of paperwork and $40,000 of Margaret's life insurance money to establish it properly. The university matched my contribution. Suddenly, there was a fund worth $80,000, generating just enough annual income to cover a significant portion of one student's education. Year after year, David received the Margaret Harrison Memorial Scholarship. He thought it was because of his grades, his essay, his potential. He never questioned it. Why would he? I covered the rest, working overtime, driving, doing odd jobs, fixing up houses on the side. 8 years total, 4 years of med school, 4 years of residency where I helped with his rent and living expenses. Every month, I'd transfer money into his account. Dad, you don't have to do this, he'd say. Yes, I do, I'd answer. And I did, because Margaret asked me to. Because it was the right thing to do. Because watching my son become Dr. David Harrison was the only thing that made waking up without her bearable. 3 weeks ago, David called with news. Dad, I need to talk to you about something important. My heart did that thing it does now when my kid leads with important. Every father over 60 knows that feeling, the split second where your mind runs through every possible catastrophe. I'm fine, he said quickly, reading my silence. Better than fine, actually. Dad, I'm going to propose to Lauren. Lauren Ashford. The surgical resident David had been dating for 18 months. I'd met her exactly 3 times. Once at a hospital fundraiser, where she barely acknowledged me. Once at Christmas, where she spent the entire meal on her phone. And once at David's apartment, where she looked at my 20-year-old truck in the parking lot like it might be contagious. That's wonderful, son, I said. Because what else do you say? Are you sure? Dad, she's incredible. She's brilliant. She's driven. She's from this amazing family. Her father's a cardiovascular surgeon. Her mother's on the board at Cedars-Sinai. They have this summer house in Martha's Vineyard. Dad, she's everything. Everything. The words sat in my chest like a stone. And you're finishing your residency next month, I said. Exactly. Dad, I want to do this right. Lauren's whole family is coming to town for my residency completion ceremony. Her parents, her brother, her grandmother. I'm planning this dinner at Aurelio's, you know, that Italian place downtown. And I'm going to propose right there, in front of everyone. Dad, I want you there. I need you there. Of course I'll be there, David. It's formal, he added, like suit and tie. Lauren's family is. He paused, searching for words. They're sophisticated, you know. But don't worry, I know you'll do great. Can you make it? Friday night? 7 o'clock? I'll be there, son. I hung up and sat in Margaret's chair. I still thought of it as her chair, even though she'd been gone 8 years, and stared at the wall. That wall had a photo of David in his white coat, the day he got his MD. Margaret would have cried. I did cry, actually, standing in the back of that auditorium, watching our boy become a doctor. Friday arrived like a court date. I put on the suit I bought for Margaret's funeral, still fit, barely, and drove my old Silverado into downtown Chicago. Aurelio's was the kind of place where the hostess looks at you like she's measuring your net worth. Dark wood, soft lighting, waiters in vests. The kind of place where water costs $8 and they call it artisanal. I found David at a table near the window. He jumped up, grinning. "Dad, you made it!" He looked good. Tired residents always look tired but good. Happy. I hugged him, felt his ribs through his shirt. "You eating enough?" "I'm fine, Dad." He turned to the table. "Everyone, this is my father, William." Lauren sat at the head of the table, flanked by her family. Her father, Richard, silver-haired and imperious, in a suit that probably cost more than my truck. Her mother, Catherine, blonde and sharp-featured, dripping in pearls. A younger man, her brother Mitchell, scrolling on his phone. And an elderly woman with kind eyes, who had to be the grandmother. "William," Lauren said, standing. She air-kissed near my cheek, the way people do when they don't actually want to touch you. "So glad you could join us." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. Richard stood, shook my hand with a grip designed to convey dominance. Richard Ashford, cardiovascular surgery at Cedars-Sinai. William Harrison, retired, Chicago Fire Department. Something flickered in Catherine's eyes. How? Public service-oriented. We sat. A waiter appeared with wine, the expensive kind. The conversation flowed around me, Richard talking about a surgery, Mitchell about some tech investment, Catherine about their summer house, their yacht club, their trip to Tuscany. I nodded, smiled, stayed quiet. This was David's night. Let them talk. David was nervous, I could tell. He kept touching his jacket pocket where the ring must be hidden. Lauren was radiant, laughing at her father's jokes, her hand occasionally touching David's arm. She looked at him like he was her prize. Then Richard leaned back, wine in hand, and said, "David, your mother and I were discussing the wedding. We're thinking the club in Martha's Vineyard, July. 200 guests? Maybe 300. That sounds beautiful," David said carefully. "Of course, we'll cover the major expenses," Catherine added. "The venue, the catering, the band. It's important to start a marriage properly. Not like," she waved her hand vaguely, "one of those backyard affairs." "My wedding was in a backyard," I said quietly. The table went silent. Catherine blinked. "I'm sure it was lovely." It was. Margaret's father was a carpenter, built the arbor himself. Her mother made the cake. 80 people, mostly firefighters and family. Best day of my life. "How?" "Rustic," Lauren said, and something in her voice made my jaw tighten. "Your wife?" Richard said. "David mentioned she passed. I'm sorry for your loss." "Thank you." "What did she do?" Catherine asked. "Professionally, she was a nurse. Pediatric ICU. Catherine smiled, that smile people make when they're categorizing you. "So both of you were service professionals." "Service professionals. Like we cleaned toilets." "They saved lives," David said, an edge in his voice. "Of course," Richard said smoothly. "Noble work. Someone has to do it." Someone has to do it. I felt Margaret's hand in mine, felt her whispering, "Let it go, Will. This is David's night." Dinner arrived. $28 salmon, $40 steaks. I ordered pasta, the cheapest thing on the menu, and ate quietly while the Ashfords discussed their portfolio, their properties, their problems with finding good help. Then dessert came, and David stood up. "Everyone," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "I asked you all here tonight because—" He reached into his pocket. "Lauren, these past 18 months with you have been incredible. You're brilliant. You're beautiful. You inspire me every day. I can't imagine my life without you." He dropped to one knee. The restaurant went quiet. People at other tables were watching. Lauren's hands flew to her mouth, tears in her eyes. "Lauren Ashford, Will you marry me? Yes. She was crying, laughing, pulling him up, kissing him. The restaurant erupted in applause. Even I clapped, stood up, smiled. This was the moment. David was happy. That's what mattered. Richard ordered champagne, the expensive stuff. Bottles appeared. Toasts were made. Lauren was showing everyone the ring, a modest thing, knowing David, he'd saved for months. The Ashfords were taking photos, posting them online, their faces glowing with reflected accomplishment. Then Lauren's grandmother, Helen, I'd learned her name, leaned over to me. You must be so proud. I am, ma'am. David tells me he's debt-free, no loans from medical school. That scholarship he received every year. What a blessing. Yes, ma'am. Not many young doctors start their careers without that burden. You must have been very relieved when he received it. I was. She studied me with those kind eyes. He's very lucky. Both of you are. The champagne was making everyone loud. Richard was telling a story about some surgery. Catherine was planning venue tours. Mitchell was showing Lauren something on his phone. Then I heard it. Well, David won't have to worry about money anymore, Catherine was saying to Lauren. Not with our family behind you. Unlike, she glanced toward me, lowered her voice just slightly, not quite enough. Some people who had to scrape by their whole lives. Lauren laughed. I know, right? I mean, a firefighter? Living on a pension? My hand tightened on my champagne glass. Lauren, David said quietly. What? I'm just saying you're marrying up, babe. No offense to your dad, but let's be real, we're a different class then. She waved toward me. That different class? The table froze. Every eye turned to Lauren, then to me. I put down my champagne glass, carefully, quietly. David, I said, congratulations on your engagement. I stood up. Dad, David started. I need to get going. Early morning tomorrow. I reached for my wallet. Mr. Harrison, Richard said, please, let me cover. I'll cover my share. I put 3 20s on the table, more than enough for pasta and water. Lauren, welcome to the family. I hope you and David are very happy together. I looked at my son. He was pale, stricken, caught between his fiancée and his father. Dad, please, enjoy your night, son. You deserve it. I walked out of Aurelio's with my head high and my hands steady, made it to my truck, made it 3 blocks. Then I pulled over and sat there, hands on the wheel, Margaret's voice in my head. Different class, she said. No, Lauren said. Different class. I took out my phone. 9 o'clock on a Friday night. But Jonathan Winters, the director of the Margaret Harrison Memorial Scholarship Fund at Northwestern, picked up on the 3rd ring. William, everything okay? Jonathan, I need to talk to you about the scholarship fund. Of course. What's on your mind? I want to dissolve it. Silence. William, Jonathan said carefully, are you sure? This fund has supported David throughout his education. He's completed his residency. The fund's purpose has been fulfilled. I'm aware, but if we dissolve it now, there are financial implications. The university's matching contribution was contingent on the fund remaining active for a minimum of 10 years. We're at 8 years. If you dissolve it now, the university will need to recoup their matched funds. How much? Given the fund's current value and what's been distributed, approximately $80,000. That amount would be converted to a standard student loan in David's name at current interest rates. And my original contribution? That's yours to reclaim, minus what's already been distributed, roughly $25,000. What about the rest? What David received over 8 years? That would become a loan as well. The total amount distributed to David over his medical education was approximately $240,000. If the fund dissolves, that becomes a standard loan obligation, $240,000, plus the university's $80,000, $320,000 in student loans. The number sat in my chest like a hand around my heart. Jonathan, I need time to think. Of course. William, are you all right? I'm fine. Thank you. I hung up and sat there in my truck, watching downtown Chicago blur through the windshield. Different class. Service professionals. Someone has to do it. Margaret's voice. Don't do anything stupid, Will. But was it stupid? Or was it a lesson? I drove home, made coffee, sat in Margaret's chair. On the mantel, David's medical school graduation photo stared at me. Dr. David Harrison, MD, the kid who used to help me wash the fire truck, the boy who held his mother's hand in hospice and promised to make her proud. My phone buzzed. David, Dad, I'm so sorry. Lauren didn't mean. What didn't she mean, David? She was drunk. She was nervous. She meant every word. My voice came out harder than intended. And you sat there and let her say it. Dad, that's not fair. I was caught off guard. You were embarrassed. Of me. In front of her family. No, Dad, Go celebrate with your fiancé, David. Congratulations on your engagement. I hung up. He called back. 4 times. I didn't answer. I sat there until midnight, looking at that photo, thinking about Margaret, thinking about 8 years of Uber shifts and house repairs and transferred money, thinking about service professionals in different class. Then I called Jonathan back. Dissolve the fund, I said. Monday morning, do whatever paperwork you need to do. William, are you absolutely certain? I am. This will create significant financial hardship for David. I know. He'll receive notification within 48 hours. I understand. I hung up and went to bed, but I didn't sleep. Monday came. Tuesday. Wednesday morning, my phone exploded. David called 6 times in 10 minutes. Then Lauren called. Then David again. I answered on the 7th call. Dad, what the fuck did you do? I'd never heard my son swear at me before. David, I got a letter from Northwestern. They're saying the scholarship fund is dissolved. They're converting everything to loans. Dad, they're saying I owe $320,000. That's correct. What do you mean that's correct? Dad, I don't understand. His voice cracked. There has to be a mistake. The Margaret Harrison Scholarship, it's been paying my tuition for 8 years. It was me, David. Silence. What? The scholarship. I created it after your mother died. I donated the seed money, set it up to be anonymous, worked with the university to make sure you'd receive it. Every year. Every dollar. What? I kept it going. The scholarship, your rent money, your living expenses, all of it. 8 years. Because your mother asked me to. Because I loved you. Because you were going to save lives. I could hear him breathing, sharp and fast. But you dissolved it. I did. Why? Dad, why would you? Because Friday night, your fiancée told me I'm a different class than her family. Because she laughed about me being just a firefighter. Because you sat there and let her. Dad, she was drunk. She didn't. She did. And you didn't defend me. Not once. I was going to. No, David. You were embarrassed. Of me. Of your mother. Of where you came from. That's not true. Then why didn't you stand up? Why didn't you tell Lauren's family that your parents, your service professional parents, are the only reason you made it through medical school? Why didn't you tell them your mother died asking me to protect your future? He was crying now. I could hear it. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't do this. I can't. Lauren and I just got engaged. We're trying to plan a wedding. I can't afford. You're a doctor, David. You make $68,000 a year as a resident. You'll make more once you finish. You can afford loan payments. Dad, please. The paperwork's done, son. The fund is dissolved. The university needs their money back. You have 30 days to set up a payment plan. Dad. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Margaret's voice. Will, what did you do? I don't know, I said out loud to an empty room. I don't know. The next 48 hours were silent. No calls, no texts, nothing. Then Saturday morning, someone knocked on my door. David stood there, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Lauren was with him, her eyes red. Dad, David said, can we come in? I opened the door. We sat in the living room, that same room where we'd celebrated his medical school acceptance, his graduation, his residency placement. Lauren perched on the edge of Margaret's chair, looking like she was sitting on glass. Dad, David said, I need to know something. That scholarship fund. Did you really create it? I did. With what money? Your mother's life insurance. And everything I could scrape together. I donated $40,000 to start it. The university matched. It generated enough income annually to cover most of your tuition. Lauren made a small sound. And the rest? David asked. My rent? My expenses? I worked. Uber, house flipping, odd jobs. Every month I sent you money. I thought you were just helping out. I didn't know it was everything. It was. David put his face in his hands. Lauren spoke for the first time. Mr. Harrison, I need to apologize. I looked at her. What I said at dinner. About class. About firefighters being. She swallowed hard. It was horrible. It was inexcusable. I was trying to impress my family, and She started crying. I didn't know. I didn't know you'd sacrificed everything for David. I didn't know about the scholarship fund, about your wife, about any of it. David never told you? I never thought to ask, David said quietly. I took it for granted. The scholarship, your help, all of it. Like I deserved it. You did deserve it. Your mother knew you'd be a great doctor. She was right. But I forgot where I came from, David said. I forgot what you gave up, what Mom gave up. I let Lauren's family make me feel like I was above my raising. You are not above anything, David. You're a doctor because your mother was a nurse who understood what it meant to care for people. You're a doctor because I spent 30 years running into burning buildings to save strangers. We're not different class. We're the same class. We're the class that serves. Lauren was crying harder now. Mr. Harrison, please don't punish David for my mistake. I'll do anything. I'll apologize. Publicly, This isn't punishment, I said. This is a lesson. A $320,000 lesson? David asked. Yes. We sat there in silence. Can I tell you something? I said finally. Your mother's last words to me were, don't let anything stop him. And I haven't. But she also used to say something else. She'd say, Will, you can give someone everything and have them understand nothing. I gave you everything, David. Medical school, residency, a debt-free start to your career. But you understood nothing. I understand now, David whispered. Do you? Or do you just understand that you have a financial problem? He looked up at me, tears on his face. Dad, I understand that I forgot who I am. I forgot where I came from. I forgot that class isn't about money or titles or summer houses. It's about character. It's about gratitude. And I forgot to be grateful. I felt something crack in my chest. I want to show you something, I said. I went to my bedroom, came back with a folder. Inside were 8 years of bank statements, loan documents, Uber earnings reports, receipts from every odd job I'd done. I laid them on the coffee table. This is what your medical degree cost. Every dollar, every hour, every sacrifice. David picked up a bank statement from 2019. His hands were shaking. Dad, you refinanced the house? To fund the scholarship. These Uber earnings. Dad, this says you worked 70 hours some weeks. Had to cover your rent. Lauren picked up a receipt. You fixed roofs? You're 60 years old. 58 back then. Needed the money. They went through the folder, document by document, their faces getting paler. Dad, David said finally, I never knew. I never asked. I thought you were comfortable. I thought Mom's life insurance left you set up. I thought the scholarship was random luck. It wasn't luck. It was love. Lauren was staring at a piece of paper. This is the Scholarship Fund Establishment document. Margaret Harrison Memorial Scholarship. You named it after your wife. She wanted you to be a doctor, David. I wanted you to remember her when you became one. And I forgot, David said. I forgot both of you. We sat there for a long time. Finally, Lauren spoke. Mr. Harrison, what would it take for you to forgive me? I looked at her. 27 years old, surgical resident, probably never scrubbed a floor or changed a tire in her life, but her eyes were genuinely scared. Do you love my son? I asked. Yes. Why? She blinked. Because he's brilliant. Because he's kind. Because he saved a patient's life last month by catching a misdiagnosis nobody else saw. Because he calls his dad every week. She paused. Because he's a good man. He's a good man because his mother was a good woman. And because I tried to teach him that goodness isn't about what you have. It's about what you do with what you have. I understand that now. Do you? My family, Lauren said slowly. My family has money, but we don't have. We don't have what David has. We don't have sacrifice. We don't have service. We have a summer house. But my dad works 90 hours a week and barely knows his grandkids. My mom spends her life competing with other rich women. My brother's on his third marriage. We look successful, but she struggled, we're empty. And David? David is real. He's the realest thing in my life. I looked at my son. Is she? Yes, David said. Dad, I love her. I know she messed up. I know I messed up, but I want to marry her. I want to build a life with her. I want to teach our kids about Grandma Margaret and Grandpa Will. I want them to know about service and sacrifice and gratitude. I want to do better. Then do better. But the loans will teach you what I couldn't, I said. That nothing worth having is free. That debt is responsibility. That you never, ever forget where you came from. David nodded slowly. Okay. We'll figure it out. We'll make the payments. We'll $2,800 a month, I said. Standard 10-year repayment plan at current interest rates. Lauren went pale. That's more than my rent. Yes. How are we supposed to afford a wedding with that payment? You're not. Not the one your parents want. You'll have a small wedding. Backyard maybe. Cheap cake. 80 people. Like mine and Margaret's. Lauren looked like she might be sick. Or, I said, you could ask your parents to help. They won't, Lauren said immediately. Not if they know about the loans. They'll say David's not a good investment. Then you'll know what kind of family they are. We sat there. Mr. Harrison, Lauren said finally. What if I made it right? How? Let me pay it back. Let me take responsibility. Not David. Me. Lauren, David started. No, she said firmly. I caused this. I humiliated your father. I insulted everything he and your mother built. Let me fix it. You're a resident, I said. You make less than David. I know. But I'll work extra shifts. I'll take side jobs. I'll do whatever it takes. And every month, when I write that check, I'll remember what I said at that dinner. And I'll remember what class really means. I studied her. You understand that's 8 years of payments? Minimum? I understand. You understand that means delaying your wedding, possibly delaying having kids, living below your means for the better part of a decade? I understand. And you'll do it anyway? I will. I looked at David. He was staring at Lauren like he was seeing her for the first time. Dad, he said, could we work out a different arrangement? What arrangement? Let us both pay, together, as a couple, learning the lesson together. I leaned back in Margaret's chair. Your mother, I said slowly, used to tell me that the best marriages are built on shared burdens. She and I had nothing when we started. We built everything together. Every house payment, every grocery bill, every crisis. Together, that's what we want, David said, taking Lauren's hand. To build together. To learn together. I looked at them, sitting there on my couch, young and scared and determined. Okay, I said. Here's what we'll do. The loans are real. The debt is real. You'll make payments, but I won't make it impossible. What do you mean? Lauren asked. I mean, I'll work with the university to restructure the repayment plan. Extend it to 20 years instead of 10. That brings your monthly payment down to about $1,600. Still significant. Still painful. Still a lesson. But manageable for 2 resident salaries. Dad. But, I continued, you'll each write me a letter. Every month. Not a check. A letter. Telling me what you learned that month. About service. About sacrifice. About gratitude. About what it means to be doctors who came from people who served. Lauren was crying again. Every month? Every month for 20 years. That's my price. I'll do it, she said immediately. And David, you'll tell your children. When you have them, you'll tell them about their grandmother, Margaret, who was a nurse, about their grandfather, Will, who was a firefighter, about how their parents learned what class really means. I will, David said. I promise. I stood up, went to the mantel, took down Margaret's photo from her nursing school graduation. Your mother, I said to David, was the classiest woman I ever met. She had nothing, came from nothing, but she had character. She had compassion. She had grace. That's class, David. Not money, not titles, not summer houses in Martha's Vineyard. I handed him the photo. Keep this. Remember her. Remember what she taught you. David held the photo like it was made of glass. I will, Dad, I swear. We stood there, the three of us, in that living room where I'd spent 8 years alone, working and sacrificing and remembering Margaret. One more thing, I said. They looked at me. Your wedding. When you have it, I'd like to be there. Dad, David said. Of course you. Not as the guy who's a different class. As the father of the groom. As the man who loved your mother and raised you and wants to see you happy. You'll always be that, David said. Always. Lauren stepped forward. Mr. Harrison, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm going to earn it. Every month, every letter, every payment. I'm going to earn it. Then call me Will, I said. That's what Margaret called me. And if you're going to be my daughter-in-law, that's what you should call me too. She hugged me. Actually hugged me. And I let her. Thank you, Will, she whispered. Thank you for not giving up on us. I didn't give up, I said. I just reminded you where you came from. They left an hour later, the folder of documents between them, Margaret's photo in David's hands. I watched their car pull away and stood there on my porch, feeling the weight of 8 years lift slightly off my shoulders. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Love you, Dad. Mom would be proud of what you did. I texted back, she'd be proud of you. Now go earn it. Then I went inside, sat in Margaret's chair, and cried for the first time in years. Not sad tears, not angry tears. Relief. 3 months later, the first letter arrived. 2 pages, handwritten, from Lauren. Dear Will, it began. This month I learned that class is a verb, not a noun. I spent an extra shift in the ER and helped a homeless patient get connected with social services. She reminded me of you, someone people might overlook, someone who has more dignity than a dozen Richard Ashfords. I wrote a check for $800 today. It hurt, but it should hurt. Gratitude, Lauren. I put the letter in a folder. Started a collection. David's arrived 2 days later. Dad, I told a patient's family today that my mother was a nurse. They asked if she inspired me to become a doctor. I said yes. Then I told them you were a firefighter, and that you taught me what it means to run toward danger instead of away from it. I'm learning, Dad, every day. Love, David. The letters kept coming. Every month. Some short, some long. Lauren writing about difficult patients and what she learned from them. David writing about standing up to an attending who made a classist comment. Both of them writing about wedding plans, a small ceremony, backyard, homemade cake, just like yours and Mom's, David wrote. That's the kind of marriage we want. A year later, I attended their wedding. 75 people in Lauren's parents' backyard, a compromise Lauren negotiated. Her mother looked pained the whole time. Her father spent most of it on his phone, but Lauren's grandmother Helen sat next to me, held my hand during the vows, and whispered, Margaret would have loved this. Yes, I said. She would have. When David and Lauren said their vows, they added something special. David turned to me. To my father, who taught me that the greatest gift you can give is sacrifice. Thank you for loving me enough to let me fail and learn. Lauren turned to me too. To Will, who taught me that class is measured not by what you have, but by what you give. Thank you for giving me a chance to earn your respect. I couldn't speak, just nodded. After the ceremony, Richard Ashford approached me. First time I'd seen him since that dinner. William, he said stiffly, I understand congratulations are in order. David tells me you're responsible for his medical education. I helped. My daughter tells me you're teaching them financial responsibility. They're learning. He studied me. I misjudged you at that dinner. I assumed, well, I assumed wrong. You assumed I was a different class than you, I said. Yes, you were right. I am a different class. Just not the one you thought. He blinked. The class that serves, I said. The class that sacrifices. The class that remembers where it came from and doesn't forget. You should try it sometime, Richard. Might teach you something. I walked away, found Margaret's photo, the one David had asked to display at the reception. Set it on the gift table, next to their small wedding cake. We did it, Maggie, I whispered. He's a doctor. He's a good man. He remembers you. The photo smiled back at me. I am the lesson my son forgot, but I'm also the lesson he learned. And that, I think, is what Margaret wanted all along. Not just a doctor in the family, but a good man, a humble man, a man who understands that true class is measured in character, not dollars. A man who knows the value of sacrifice. A man who writes letters to his father, saying thank you. Every month for 20 years. That's worth more than any scholarship fund could ever be.